Good morning from the forest. It is Brian of London here. Just finishing my a culturally appropriated small Italian coffee. Hello, welcome. Brian of London here. I'll get to the main topic in a minute, but first off, a big shout out and thank you to Adam Curry and John C. Dvorak, where the C stands for classy. Thank you for mentioning our JPB Liberty class action lawsuit on the No Agenda podcast, which is, of course, the best podcast in the universe, according to the Mueller report. Thank you very much for bringing that up and for playing my favourite Maxine Waters clip ever, and for that fantastic introduction. So thank you, Adam. Thanks very much for that. Yes, and the case, big news coming, but just inching towards it, can't say. All of that sort of stuff. Oh, I got food in my teeth. Uh-oh. Anyway. Oh, yeah, and I will be consulting with the Curry Dvorak Consulting Group on dress, because I'm sure this doesn't meet your standards. But anyway, we're trying to do everything we can to differentiate ourselves from the army or the phalanx of lawyers that Facebook, Google and Twitter are going to deploy against us in short order. Anyway, so what else am I going to talk about today? Today I'm going to talk about something because my very, very good friend David Boxenhorn, he started tweeting a few days ago about rapid testing to solve the coronavirus pandemic, epidemic, lockdown disaster. And when he started tweeting about it, and I read his tweets because he's a friend of mine, someone I know in real life. Not that doesn't mean the rest of you aren't so high, but he's a real life person, and he's bright, really smart, and if he's found something that's worth looking at, I look at it because I trust his judgment. Anyway, what he's stumbled onto, I think, is really important. And he's been trying to get it in front of important people. And fortunately, Scott Adams has picked it up as well. And that's really important too. And it's the work of this guy, Michael Mina, who's going around talking about this. And I want to make this even more famous. He is trying to explain something that is not that easy to explain to sort of lay people. The way in which we're testing for the coronavirus, COVID-19, the underlying cause, SARS-CoV-2 or SARS-Corona-2, which creates the COVID-19 disease. The way we're testing for it at the moment is we're doing what's called a PCR, polymerase chain reaction test. And it's the standard way of detecting small amounts of DNA or RNA, in this case, and amplifying it to say, oh yeah, we found some. But the trouble with this test is it takes lab equipment and it takes time. Even when it's done in a small machine, it's a sophisticated test. That's why these tests cost so much money and why it's taken so long to get to a point where we can bulk test. There's another form of test. And the other form of test it's similar, but I don't want to go into the whole chemistry of it because basically I don't know, but I was crap at chemistry. I got a PhD in physics, but I was useless at chemistry. It's similar to the peeing on a stick and getting a result of whether you're pregnant or not. So this is a test. You literally print a strip of paper, you lick it, and it changes colour. And if it changes colour, that means it has detected a viral load of this type of virus in you that is big enough that means you're probably capable of transmitting it to other people. What it won't detect is the infinitesimal levels that the PCR test, the polymerase chain reaction test, will test. But this test has the advantage that, one, it's just you print a chemical onto a piece of paper and you lick it. It's $1, less than $1. It can be very cheap if mass marketed. But the downsides are, and this is what Michael Mina, who's talking about this, is talking about, is that in the American setting, this type of test, basically, governments and healthcare professionals don't like self-administered tests. I mean, I certainly remember, not that I was old enough to worry about it at the time, but I remember back before there were home pregnancy tests. As far as I remember, women would go to a doctor and have a blood drawn, and then they would get the results a couple of days later. You know, you're pregnant or you're not. There was no peeing on a stick. The peeing on a stick thing is radical, and it changes the whole dynamic if you can test these things yourself. And the same with this. Now, this test, Michael Mina, when he talks about it in some videos, he gives an example, is that the PCR test is like, you've got a city and fires are breaking out, and you want to send the fire trucks to proper house fires. The PCR test that we're doing is very, very, very ultra sensitive, but it's late. So it detects that a day and a half or 2 days before somebody lit a match. Is it going to turn into a house fire? We don't know. But it might have turned into a house fire in the 2 or the 3 or the 4 days between when you took the test and when you got the results. That's not any good. This strip test, you lick it, it tells you if there's a house fire right then and there. And then a person can change their behavior. Like, the other thing is, and this is somewhat harder to explain, and it's to do with the nature of virality. You know, we say when a video goes viral, what does that mean? It means that one person saw it, who spread it to 2 people, 2 people then spread it to 2 people each, and that's 4 and 8 and 16. It's exponential growth. It spreads rapidly. Now, a virus spreads exponentially twice, actually. Once across the population. We understand that when this R number is above 1, that means that every person who's infected infects more than one other person. But it also grows exponentially inside you. So if you get infected with this and it catches hold, you might have 2 viruses, and then you'll have 4 viruses a few minutes later, and then 8 and 16 and 32 and 64, and off it goes. And that's viral. And that actually happens very quickly. The PCR test can determine that you've got like a viral load. Just forget what these numbers, the absolute value of these numbers, but you've got a viral load of 1,000. And this strip test might only detect when you've got a viral load of 100,000. And you'd say, well, the PCR is obviously better. But no, the thing is, the time between 1,000 and 100,000 can be quite quick because of exponential growth. And people who are actively spreading this disease and making other people sick, they might have loads of 1 million or 1 billion or 1 trillion. And this strip test, lick, 15 minutes later, look at the colour. Okay, I don't have COVID. I can go to school today. I can go to work today. I can go and work in a restaurant. I can go and sit in a restaurant. But if it comes back positive, you change your behaviour. And the other thing is that this test is so cheap that you could take it before you went to bed and when you wake up. Now, you're pretty certain, unless you have different kind of nocturnal activities than I do, you're pretty certain you're not going to catch it whilst you are actually asleep. So if you took it at night and you took it in the morning and both were negative, go about your business. And do this with the kids. Do this with the kids. Strip every morning when they get to school. If it comes back positive, send them home. Get them out of the population. What you do is you move the super spreaders out of the population. Now, the issue that I mentioned earlier with regulation is that the FDA doesn't know how to deal with this. They don't like home testing. They don't like a test where it's not monitored, you know, because it would be up to you to change your behavior or report yourself. I'm sure there will be plenty of libertarians, or a small number of libertarians, who hate this idea and don't want to be monitored or whatever. But even if it's for some people, the fear of this thing is overblown, it isn't for older people. My parents live in Israel, not far from me. We're going to go to dinner with them tonight at their house with my kids. They're nervous about that activity. We will not hug them. We will stay a little bit distant from them. We might eat on the balcony tonight because they're older. They don't have huge underlying health issues, but I'm 50. I am in a higher risk category than some of you watching this. The fear of this disease is real. it might have a much lower mortality rate than we first thought, or it might have declined since it first emerged from Wuhan. But it does make some people sick, and it makes some people die, and it makes old people die a lot. Now, if we can have $1 a day type test that you just distribute, just give it away, just give it to people in advance of this vaccine, which, listen, I'm nervous about a vaccine that is rushed into production. I don't like anything being rushed into production that you then give to 1 billion people. That, to me, sounds bad. If we can cut the super spreading, if we can cut the high risk, the pinpoint, we can flatten this thing completely. We can just, if you were to walk into a restaurant and know that everybody there, or 70 or 80% of them, had licked this strip in the morning and found themselves to be clear, society would feel better. Look, I wear a mask when I'm supposed to. I'm sitting in a coffee place and I've been on a walk. You don't have to wear a mask when you're exercising, according to the rules here in Israel. Technically, I should be wearing a mask now, but I don't know. I am highly skeptical of the mask thing, but I'm doing it. But this pinpoint testing, even if it's, you know, I don't want to know if someone was infectious 4 days ago. That doesn't help me. They've had 4 days, and then to go 2 days before that and start doing contact tracing. You just no. Get these tests. Get someone to print them up. Change whatever FDA rules you need to in America, because America always leads the world in this kind of stuff. It would be nice if Israel could just say, okay, we're going to give this a try. We're going to find a company that's going to make these tests. We've got, 8-9 million people here, so we'd need of the order of 10 million tests a day. Get them printed, get them done, get them distributed. Israel could do it. We actually have the kind of logistical, if this thing can be made, we can make it, and we can put the effort in. And I'm sure it will be a fraction of the effort that's gone into vaccines. Give it a try. To me, it sounds like a no-brainer. Rapid, maybe twice a day, test at night, test in the morning, both negative, go out. One of them positive, call your doctor, go get a PCR test, self-isolate. If you start feeling sick, go ask for some hydroxychloroquine, zinc and azithromycin. Maybe it'll help you. I don't know. But you have options if you're informed. And to hell with counting and worrying about which country's ahead of which other. This is bullshit. What I want is for people to feel safe in public spaces. I mean, back when we had suicide bombings here on a regular basis, we deployed the army and we deployed extra security services to guard streets to try and make people feel safer in public. And then eventually Israel built a huge wall, and that made us a lot safer because it focused our preventative efforts on catching these terrorist suicide bombers before they left where they were coming from. That worked. To me, it seems that just licking a strip, getting a result, and then individuals affecting their own behavior, I like that because there's a self-empowerment thing. I would do that, and I think a lot of other people would do it. You know, I'm a libertarian at heart, but I'm also, I live within a society, and I want society to thrive as a whole, as well as me. And there's a balance between the two. And if I know I am infectious, I will stay home. If I'm starting to get sick, I'll go seek medical attention urgently. But if I'm at home and this thing tells me you might actually have a viral load in your body, I won't want to pass that on to other people. I'll self-isolate from my family. I'll do everything. And I don't think I'm unrepresentative. And that's why I'm very pleased I saw David Boxenhorn's tweet on this. I'm very pleased that he looked into it in more depth, gave me the high level. Scott Adams is now looking at it. Who knows if this can reach the desk of the President of America? Because if it can, and if he can change, and it's government never helps. Government is always the problem. If they can change an FDA rule try it in one state. Try it. Just get it moving. That's what I think. Anyway, it's Brian of London. If you don't know me, I live in Israel, despite the Brian of London, as in I was once in London, but I'm now of London. But I live in Tel Aviv. This is Tel Aviv Park, Hayakon. The Hayakon River is just to my right, and I'm in a little forest cafe along a path, actually, that forms a path that runs basically from the north of Israel all the way to the south. There's like the Appalachian Trail in America, if you know that. There's a single path marked all over the place, and you can walk from one end of Israel to the other. It does take a while, but it's still a small country. Anyway, that's where I am. That's who I am. Follow me along, and also just a reminder, jpbliberty.com, John Perry Barlow Liberty.com. That's our giant class action, which any day now there's going to be huge news. But if you held Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency, or you worked in any other cryptocurrency related business in January 2018 and through 2018, check out that website, sign up for the court case. Do it now, because we might not be able to keep sign-ups open indefinitely. So do that now. Anyway, thanks very much for your attention. Shabbat shalom to all of you, and have a great weekend. Bye.